British supermarkets sell over £9 billion worth of meat every single year. A significant portion of it arrives in your fridge carrying things the packaging does not mention. Bacterial contamination rates that would shut down a restaurant kitchen. Chicken breeds engineered to grow so fast, their legs cannot support their own weight. Antibiotic residues from drugs administered not to treat illness, but to make the farming model survivable. And a processing method the World Health Organization has classified in the same carcinogen category as tobacco. None of this is hidden exactly. It is published in government data, peer-reviewed studies, and Food Standards Agency reports. It is just not on the label. Let's start with the one your body has almost certainly already encountered. 1. Campylobacter. If you have ever had what you assumed was a bad stomach, 48 hours of cramps, diarrhea, maybe a fever, there is a reasonable chance it was not a virus. It was your chicken. Campylobacter is the leading cause of bacterial food poisoning in the United Kingdom. The Food Standards Agency estimates that fresh retail chicken in Britain has a Campylobacter prevalence of 41.2%. In their most recent survey, the bacteria were detected on the majority of chicken neck skin samples tested. Over half. Not from dodgy corner shops, from the major retailers. The numbers behind that contamination rate are genuinely difficult to sit with. Up to 500,000 cases of campylobacteriosis per year in the United Kingdom. An annual economic burden of approximately £713 million. And in 2024, source attribution modelling conducted by the FSA and the Quadram Institute predicted that over 86% of human Campylobacter jejuni infections originate from a single source, chicken meat. Here is what makes this particularly frustrating. The FSA ran a major reduction program starting in 2010 that successfully cut the proportion of highly contaminated carcasses at retail from 19% in 2014 to 5% by 2017. That is significant progress. But human case rates did not move. They stayed flat at approximately 100 per 100,000 population for years. The contamination on the product improved. The illness in the population did not. Nobody has fully explained why. And the complications go well beyond a bad weekend. Campylobacter infection can trigger reactive arthritis, long-term irritable bowel syndrome, and in roughly 1 in 5,000 cases, Guillain-Barré syndrome, a condition that causes nerve damage and temporary paralysis. Meanwhile, fluoroquinolone resistance in Campylobacter isolates from poultry reached 55.2% in 2024, up from 35.8% just 6 years earlier. Countries including the United States, Australia, Denmark, and Sweden have banned fluoroquinolones in poultry production over fears of exactly this kind of resistance transfer. The United Kingdom has not. 500,000 people a year. That is not a food safety edge case. That is a system producing illness at scale. But the bacteria on your chicken is not the only problem the farming model creates. The chicken itself is the problem. 2. The bird and the drugs. The chicken you are eating almost certainly has a name you have never heard. It is called the Ross 308, and it dominates British poultry production. Roughly 90% of the chicken sold in UK supermarkets comes from fast-growing breeds like this one. The Ross 308 reaches a slaughter weight of 2.3 kilograms in approximately 35 days. To give you a sense of what that means biologically, chicken growth rates have increased by over 400% since the 1950s. The muscles grow faster than the skeleton, the heart, or the lungs can support. Researchers found that 36.2% of conventional broiler flocks showed moderate to severe gait defects. One study estimated that an average Ross 308 spends 708 hours in various levels of pain. That is nearly the entirety of its waking life. What that breeding does to the bird is well documented. What it does to the meat is less discussed. Woody breast is a condition caused by the abnormally rapid muscle growth these breeds are selected for. It produces hardened, fibrous tissue that does not absorb marinades, cooks unevenly, and has a texture that is simply wrong. You have eaten it. You just assumed you overcooked it. Keeping these birds alive long enough to reach slaughter weight requires pharmaceutical support. Globally, an estimated 70% of all antibiotics are used in farm animals, not people. The UK has reduced veterinary antibiotic sales by 57% since 2014. That is the headline. What the headline does not include is that the UK has not banned prophylactic group treatments, which the EU has. It has not introduced statutory antibiotic use data collection, which the EU has. A 2025 investigation found that pig farms supplying Tesco, Asda, and M&S were using critically important antibiotics, the drugs human medicine needs most, routinely through feed and water. In 2023, there were 66,730 serious antibiotic-resistant infections in the UK. 2,200 people died. By 2050, antimicrobial resistance is projected to kill 10 million people per year globally. Norway looked at the Ross 308 and decided to phase out fast-growing breeds entirely by 2027. Britain looked at the same bird, the same data, and decided that 90% market share was an acceptable number. That is what is happening before the meat reaches the shelf. What happens after, the curing, the smoking, the processing, carries consequences of a different kind. 3. Processed meat. In 2015, the World Health Organization's International Agency for Research on Cancer reviewed over 800 studies spanning more than a dozen cancer types across multiple countries and populations. Their conclusion was unambiguous. Processed meat is carcinogenic to humans, Group 1. The same classification was given to tobacco smoking and asbestos. That classification covers bacon, ham, sausages, salami, corned beef, and canned meat. Nitrites, listed as E249 and E250 on your ingredients label, are added to preserve color and extend shelf life. During digestion, they react to form N-nitroso compounds and nitrosamines, chemicals that cause direct damage to DNA in the cells lining your colon. The mechanism is specific. Nitrites and nitrosamines matter. The dose-response data is equally specific. Every 50 grams of processed meat consumed daily, roughly 2 rashers of bacon, increases the risk of colorectal cancer by approximately 18%. A UK biobank study tracking 500,000 British adults found that participants eating 79 grams of red and processed meat per day had a 32% higher risk of bowel cancer compared to those eating less than 11 grams. That translates to 14 extra cancer cases per 10,000 people. Globally, the Global Burden of Disease Project attributes around 34,000 cancer deaths per year to high processed meat consumption. The classification does not mean bacon is as dangerous as smoking. It means the scientific evidence that it causes cancer is equally strong. That distinction matters. So does this one. The EU mandated warning labels on artificial food dyes linked to childhood hyperactivity. Any product containing the Southampton 6 colorings must carry a visible notice. Processed meat, classified not as a possible concern but as a definitive human carcinogen, carries no equivalent warning anywhere in Britain. France and Denmark have moved to restrict nitrite levels. The UK has not. Tobacco carries a warning on every packet. Processed meat often carries a picture of a happy pig and a best before date. So, bacteria, breed, drugs, and carcinogens. 3 systemic problems, all legal, none inevitable. Because better meat does exist in Britain, and the difference is not marketing. Slower-growing chicken breeds, the kind used by Marks and Spencer and Waitrose, have dramatically lower rates of lameness, better texture, and flavor you actually notice. Higher welfare farms use antibiotics only when animals are genuinely sick, not as infrastructure for a stocking density that would otherwise be unmanageable. The eating quality gap between a properly reared chicken and a 35-day Ross 308 is immediate and obvious. The meat holds its moisture. It cooks evenly. It tastes like something. Yes, it costs more. A slower-grown bird costs roughly double. But the £3 chicken is not actually cheap. The cost is simply collected somewhere else, through your taxes, your NHS, and on occasion your gut. Outdoor bred and outdoor reared are different welfare standards. Farm Assured covers a range of realities. Red Tractor is a baseline, not a guarantee of best practice. Nobody is asking you to overhaul your entire weekly shop. But knowing what the cheap option actually costs, not at the till but everywhere else, is a reasonable place to start. Here is the pattern across all three. It is not that anyone set out to make British meat dangerous. It is that the system built to produce it, the volume targets, the price commitments, the 35-day grow cycles, and the processing margins, does not leave room for safety to win when it costs more than the alternative. And in meat production, safety always costs more than the alternative. The welfare of the animal, the time taken to grow it properly, the inspection infrastructure that catches contamination before it reaches your plate, all of it costs money. A supply chain optimized to the bone cannot accommodate, so those costs get removed, one quiet compromise at a time. The branding does not change, the product does. Reading a label on a packet of meat is not paranoia, it is just paying attention. The meat in that fridge is not all the same, neither is what it does to you.